Never call the cops on a family for ignoring an HOA fine, especially when that family consists of highly trained federal agents who could shut down your entire neighborhood operation before lunch. HOA board members love flexing their authority. They issue fines, send threatening letters, and make your life miserable over things like fence height and paint color. But sometimes they get so power mad they forget to check who they're messing with. This is the story of how Karen, an HOA president with a badge fetish, called the police on my family for refusing to pay a ridiculous fine, and how she discovered too late that she'd just invited federal agents to investigate her own criminal activity. My name is Mike Donovan. I'm a special agent with Homeland Security Investigations. My wife, Sarah, is an FBI special agent. My brother, David, is with the Secret Service. And my sister-in-law, Rachel, is a senior analyst with the DEA. We all work in different areas of federal law enforcement, but we have one thing in common. We don't take kindly to abuse of power. We bought a house in a gated community called Pine Ridge because it was close to all our offices and had good schools for our kids. We knew there was an HOA, but we figured how bad could it be? We pay our dues, we keep our property looking nice, and we mostly keep to ourselves. For the first year, everything was fine. Then Karen Peterson was elected president of the HOA. Karen is a 58-year-old divorcee with too much time on her hands and a Napoleon complex the size of Texas. She immediately started enforcing every rule in the HOA book with the enthusiasm of a prison warden. The first violation notice we received was because our trash cans were visible from the street. We put them out the night before pickup, which is exactly what the waste management company recommends, but Karen didn't care. Violation: trash receptacles visible from street. Fine, $50. We paid it. It wasn't worth fighting over. The next notice was because Sarah had planted some flowers along the fence line. Violation: unapproved landscaping. Fine, $100. Sarah dug up the flowers. We paid the fine. Then came a notice about our flag. I fly the American flag in our front yard on a pole attached to our porch. I'm a veteran, and I take flag etiquette seriously. The notice said, violation: unapproved flagpole. Fine, $200. That's when I got angry. I wrote a letter to the HOA board, explaining that federal law prohibits HOAs from banning the display of the American flag. I included a copy of the Freedom to Display the American Flag Act of 2005. Karen responded with a letter saying that while they couldn't ban the flag, they could regulate the manner of display, and my flagpole was not on their approved list. She added another $100 fine for unauthorized correspondence. That's when we decided to fight back. Sarah, David, Rachel, and I sat around our kitchen table one night, going through the HOA bylaws with a fine-tooth comb. David, who's meticulous about details, found something interesting. Look at this, he said, pointing to a section in the bylaws. It says that all fines must be approved by a majority vote of the full board. But according to the meeting minutes I got from the management company, Karen has been approving fines on her own without board votes. Rachel pulled out her laptop. Let me check something. A few minutes later, she looked up, grinning. The HOA is incorporated as a nonprofit. That means they have to follow state nonprofit laws. And according to those laws, they have to maintain accurate financial records and hold regular board meetings with proper notice. Sarah nodded. And Karen hasn't been doing any of that. She's been running the HOA like her personal fiefdom. We decided to stop paying fines until Karen followed her own rules. We sent a certified letter to the HOA board, outlining the violations we'd found and stating that we would not pay any more fines until the HOA came into compliance with state law and its own bylaws. Karen went ballistic. She sent us a letter saying our account was delinquent and that if we didn't pay immediately, she would place a lien on our house and initiate foreclosure proceedings. We ignored it. A week later, we came home to find a notice taped to our door. Immediate eviction notice. Vacate property within 72 hours. Sarah laughed. She can't do that. It takes months to foreclose on a house, and you have to go through court. I shook my head. She's bluffing. She's trying to scare us. But Karen wasn't done. The next morning, as I was leaving for work, a police car pulled up in front of our house. An officer got out and approached me. "Mr. Donovan?" he asked. That's me, I said. We received a call about a disturbance at this address, he said. The caller said you were refusing to vacate the property after being served with an eviction notice. I couldn't believe it. Officer, that's not true. We own this house. There's no eviction notice. The HOA president is trying to intimidate us because we're disputing some fines. The officer looked skeptical. Do you have proof of ownership? I showed him my driver's license with the address on it. Sarah came out with our mortgage statement. David, who had been inside, came out with his Secret Service badge. Officer, I'm Special Agent David Donovan with the U.S. Secret Service, he said. This is my brother, Mike, with Homeland Security. That's his wife, Sarah, with the FBI. And our sister-in-law, Rachel, is inside with the DEA. We all live here. We own this house. There is no eviction. The officer's eyes widened. You're all federal agents? Rachel came out, holding her DEA badge. That's right. And we believe the person who called you committed a crime by making a false police report. The officer looked uncomfortable. Ma'am, I was just responding to a call. Sarah stepped forward. And we appreciate that, officer. But the person who called you, Karen Peterson, the HOA president, has been harassing us for months. She sent fake eviction notices, threatened to illegally foreclose on our house, and now she's made a false police report. That's criminal harassment, fraud, and filing a false report. The officer sighed. What do you want me to do? I smiled. You could go talk to her. Explain that making false police reports is a crime. And while you're at it, you might want to mention that harassing federal agents is a really bad idea. The officer nodded. I'll have a word with her. He left, and we went inside to finish our coffee. An hour later, the doorbell rang. It was the officer again, with Karen in tow. Karen looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. Officers, I demand to know why you dragged me out of my house, she snapped. The officer held up his hand. Mrs. Peterson, I need to explain something to you. Making a false police report is a crime. Harassing these people is a crime. And threatening to evict them from their own home is a crime. Karen's face turned red. They're violating HOA rules. They owe thousands in fines. David stepped forward. Mrs. Peterson, we've reviewed your HOA bylaws and state law. You haven't held proper board meetings. You haven't kept accurate financial records. You've been imposing fines without board approval. You're the one violating rules and laws. Sarah added, and we filed a complaint with the State Attorney General's office about your nonprofits violations. We've also filed a complaint with the police department about your harassment. Karen looked from one of us to the other, her eyes wide with panic. You can't do that. Rachel smiled coldly. We're federal agents, Mrs. Peterson. We could do a lot. And we will. The officer spoke up. Mrs. Peterson, I'm issuing you a formal warning for making a false police report. If it happens again, you'll be arrested. Do you understand? Karen nodded, looking defeated. Yes, officer. After the officer left, Karen turned to us. What do you want from me? I leaned against the doorframe. First, you resign as HOA president. Effective immediately. Karen opened her mouth to argue, but Sarah cut her off. Second, you repay all the fines you illegally collected from us and every other homeowner in the last 5 years. With interest, David added. Third, you apologize to the entire community at the next HOA meeting. In writing, Rachel finished. And fourth, you never contact us again. For any reason. If you do, we'll have you arrested for harassment. Karen looked like she might cry. I can't afford to repay all those fines. Sarah shrugged. Then you'll have to sell your house, won't you? Karen knew she was beaten. Okay, I'll do what you want. True to her word, Karen resigned at the next HOA meeting. She issued a written apology to the community, and she started selling her house. But we weren't done. The State Attorney General's office opened an investigation into the HOA's financial practices. They discovered that Karen had been using HOA funds for personal expenses, vacations, shopping sprees, even a down payment on a new car. She had embezzled over $100,000 from the association. Karen was arrested and charged with embezzlement, fraud, and making false police reports. She pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 3 years in prison. The new HOA board, under the guidance of the state, refunded all the illegally collected fines to the homeowners. Our family became local legends. The neighborhood kids started calling us the feds next door. Other homeowners who had been bullied by Karen came forward with their own stories. We helped them form a new, more transparent HOA that actually followed its own rules and state law. As for Karen, she lost her house, her freedom, and her reputation. Last we heard, she was working in the prison laundry, making 15 cents an hour. The lesson? Power is a responsibility, not a weapon. And when you abuse that power to intimidate people, you'd better make sure those people aren't trained to take down criminals for a living. Because some of us spend our days putting people like you behind bars. Subscribe for more stories about HOAs getting what they deserve.